First off, I would like to thank you for having me here at Chelsea Community Church. This is my home and a place that I've given much joy at the Christmas candle lighting. I had several friends here. I was brought here by Kathleen Reed, who was a very, very good friend of mine. So I want to thank you guys and Jeff for organizing it. Sorry for running a little late. And it would be that my sermon is about time. So, okay, so first off, my name is Rasheed Hart, and as you heard in my introduction, I was formerly incarcerated. And what I want to share to you today is my experience and my understanding with a concept called time. Many of us experience time in many different ways and have different relationships with time, depending on where you're at. When you're a little younger, you see time one way. You get a little older, you see time different. Well, I want to tell you how I had to experience time and my understanding and relationship that's become from time. When I was about 18 or 19 years old, I was given 25 years. At that time, I viewed time as my enemy. I viewed something as that was sitting on top of me. 25 years was something that I couldn't fathom. Some 25 years at such a young age was a burden. It seemed like an enemy. So I spent many years, as I'm sure some of us have, trying to find ways to do things like kill time, waste time. And as I begin to have that relationship with time, as you can see from the first scripture reading, is that when God gives the increase for something to grow, if you're not doing the labor, you can't possibly expect the increase or to grow. Right? So that was one of the things that I didn't understand. And when you have time as your enemy, and you have time as something to be killed, and time not that, you begin to not understand that time is a blessing given from God. Right? So as I had this relationship with time, and I saw time as my enemy, and I was walking around my prison cell, and I was incarcerated, and I was looking at ways to kill time, and I was looking at ways to waste time, and I was looking at ways that I wish I could go to sleep and time could just elapse, right? That I began to go down to service, and I began to go to Bible studies, and I began to get this understanding of what time really was, and who was in control of time, and how time can be effectively used. Right? And then it began to change and do something in me when I understand that time was not my enemy. Time was not something to be killed or wasted. Time was something to be used. Time was something to be valued. Something with time was to be applied. So when I began to have this shift after understanding that time was no longer my enemy, and that time was something that I need to be to understand and be grateful for, it began to transform my life. I began to use time to do things like go to school, to be kind, now I look back, and me and Kathleen Reed, our relationship lasted for 16 years in time, right? But it was never nothing about time, because time was a blessing. So being with her was a blessing. So time was able to be used effectively. And as I began to try to re-put my life back together, to reestablish myself, these same kind of understanding of time, if used properly, can and looked at as a blessing, it can have great, great, great rewards. How many of us today look at time, look at our watch, or look at time as something to be wasted, as time to be not valued, as time is something that you may have squandered? So today I ask you, how much of it to you is time a blessing? Do you see time as your enemy? Do you see time as something to be killed or wasted? Or do you see time as a blessing from God to be utilized? The power of time. Many of you I know may know what the word erosion is, right? When you look at a great big mountain that has erosions and waves and curves through it, and it was a stream, that it wasn't that the stream was so powerful, but the stream had consistent motion over time. That the continued time allowed it to wear down, it allowed it to leave its mark. And who gives us time? As you can see from the scripture, that time and increase belongs to God, and that is a blessing. So when you putting something together, and you can have plans. That I had plans I was going to be here at 12:50, but I'm not in control of time, and it leaves me at peace when I understand that. It leaves me to be able to understand what time is. I'm going to give you two examples of time in a personal way for me. I had 13 years and 8 months of incarceration that felt like time that I wish I could just wipe off the map, time that I wish I could just bury somewhere. But then I have my mother, who was 75 years old, and I spent the last 3 years of her life nurturing her and showing her what time and increase and God's blessing can do, and that her faith can be answered. And I nurtured her for those 3 years that I would never trade for a million years. So you have 13 years and 8 months that you wish that you could get rid of, and that it was your enemy. And then you have 3 years that's so precious, and you realize that you only wish that I could have another sit-down Thanksgiving dinner with Kathleen Reed. I only wish that I could have another day to talk with my mother, right? So that you understand the power of time. When you understand the power of time, and you understand that time is given from the Most High, it changes your life. It brings you at peace, because then you realize that every moment, every time, every moment, every second that you have in a day is a blessing. That you can order your steps, but if God has not ordained it, it will not be so. So I ask you again today, how do you view time? Do you view time as a blessing, something to be used, something to be cherished, something to be shared with your loved ones that can't come back? Or do you view it as an enemy, something that you're looking to waste, something that you're looking to just get rid of and kill? So today I ask you to be more blessed. I ask you to look at your time as a blessing from God. I ask you to as he said that in Ecclesiastes, that God has made everything beautiful in its time. How many things in our lives have gone wrong because it may have not been in his time? And not his time that, no miraculous, no, just the sequence of events. Just you need to allow yourselves to allow God to allow things to mature. If you're having a child, if you're having a baby, and you don't allow the baby to go to a full 9-month term, it's called premature because it wasn't given the proper time. So today I want to ask you again, how do you view time? Do you view it as a blessing from God? Will you allow him to give you increases in your life? Will you allow him to make you a blessing to others? Will you allow him to make you blessings to your community? Or do you view time as an enemy, something to be killed and wasted? So today again, I ask you to view time as a blessing from God.